Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, The Division 1, we are back on the grind on Xbox, and I think this is where you transition into Manhattan from Brooklyn or something like that. I think this is kind of like the signal that, hey, you're about to move on to another part of the map, having done the very first mission. Now, a really interesting part of the entire Division world and, building it was they built it in this world that was somewhat familiar. Well, no, that was actually very familiar and at the same time very desolate. It was so weird. A lot of people, came into this game not necessarily knowing what to expect, and then they dropped an entire real world map on everybody else, basically a representation of a real world map. So unlike many of your other games, I'm not saying, all other games, but many of your other games, if they did a depiction, we don't necessarily know that depiction is, in a sense, a depiction of what's in real life. Instead, we get some sort of a representation. I mean, I guess a depiction representation is similar. But in the case of the way Ubisoft Massive decided to go with this, they decided that they were just going to pretty much try their best to almost replicate, Manhattan and all of that stuff on the real map. So that was actually quite cool for people to see. Now, before playing The Division, I had been to New York once. I think I don't remember the areas that I went to. It was more of a very mandatory trip, so it wasn't really a pleasant experience, for me traveling anyways. It wasn't because of New York or anything. There were so many things going on in the world at that time. If anybody is, savvy enough, you can go look at 2009, 2010, that time stretch, and you'll know exactly how much of a pain it was to travel in that season. And so that was a very rough time. Everything was so weird, all over the place. There was so much vigilance. There were cops everywhere. Security was on high alert all over the world, and New York just happened to be one of those places. So that was kind of my experience with New York. And so since then, I haven't been back, because I just didn't have a great time. It was just so stressful. And I remember coming back, to my little old podunk place, here, and I was so excited to be back. I ate a triple stacker at Burger King. I told the manager there, I was like, "Can you guys triple the burger? Can you guys triple the patties on this burger?" And he was like, "Yeah, we can do that." I was like, "I want it, because I've been I've been gone so long, and I just feel like I just want to indulge." But this is when I was in university, by the way. I wouldn't dare do that right now. Goodness, golly. And so those are some of the really cool things that, are about, the Division 1 in its real world setting. Now, that's just my experience. Some people who've played the Division for years actually do live in New York City. Many of you live there, and that's your reality. That's your world. That's the reality that you've gone, to many of these locations, or in some cases you work at some of these locations that the game, actually depicts. Even though the game does not depict it in a, in a direct sense. Maybe say you work, say, in close to a big bank, or close to a big institution that's known, and an institution that's actually well, recognizable. Most people will say, "Hey, I work by that building," but here in the game they'll name it something else. But that's stuff that we're going to see later down the road. But initially, when you start out the game, you get to meet Faye. She takes you onto the island, and you see the whole big Division thing. And one really interesting thing was Faye was hurt throughout this entire game. And it became a meme, where people kept saying, Faye Lau's always been a beloved character, though, in this whole series. I think that's why people were probably really a little tilted, in a sense. Should I say tilted or disappointed is what I should say. I don't know. I guess I should say disappointed, because disappointed in my mind sounds a lot more like what people felt when, the Faye Lau mission did not seem to carry a lot of weight and all of that. But yeah, here we are at Manhattan. I just wanted to go ahead and just kind of walk through this very shortly. I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. We're at the 5-minute mark. You reach here, and then it's time for you to actually start getting to do work. And I think your very first task here is to take on the base of operations, if I'm not mistaken. And then from there, you know, you're gonna go ahead and then start doing some other stuff. But there's a lot of open world running around that can also be done. But I'm gonna try my best to make this a lot more objective oriented in our progression of the Division 1. But that's pretty much it for me, folks. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you very much for tuning into this video and tuning into other subsequent videos. I just hope developers are watching and seeing the things that made this game exactly what it is to those who who play and those who are willing to continue to play more. I mean, they put so much work in this. There was so much passion. There was so much drive. There was so much love that went into this game. You could tell from the development of this game that a lot of the people loved and enjoyed what they did. Massive was very, very hungry, in the development of this game. I remember watching some interviews of Massive from a long time back before they made The Division. You could tell there was a lot of hunger in that studio because this was a studio that was acquired by Ubisoft themselves. So I'm certain that they wanted to prove something within the ranks of the other Ubisoft studios. And, they came in here with fire, man, just ready to own it all. And so once they got here, it wasn't a matter of, oh, are they a good studio? Once they were given the green light to make their own game, they came up with this. Now, yes, this was not the Depiction. This is not exactly what they marketed to people, but it still beat many other games that came out in the same time. Even this is a dumbed down version of what they had first revealed. And this was still graphically, gameplay-wise, mechanics-wise, still superior to many other games, in my opinion anyways. I think the only thing that was topping it at that point was Destiny, based on its popularity and everything. But when it came to a looter shooter, and this was the only third-person looter shooter that was quite significant even. So there are just many things that you can commend the Division 1 for if you start taking a look at its history, taking a look at its background and all of the others. But anyways, like I said, let me bounce. We'll meet in the next maybe side mission of significance or mission. And I guess I'll talk to you guys soon. If you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is some really cool stuff here with Tom Clancy's The Division and all. And I appreciate you guys once again. Peace out.